Hello and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. We have during this Taste Challenge two American bourbon whiskeys. This one is from Kentucky. It's called Tom Sims. It's aged 4 years. Now, when I was in Texas, I bought this 4 years ago. Well, going on 4 years ago, December 2018. Should have bought the 6 year age also, but I was a fool, in that context, and I didn't do it. They're showing the Tom Sims Distillery in the background, no longer in existence. This was introduced in 1963. And then that distillery burnt down right around the same time, and they sold the brands off, and it's owned by Heaven Hill today. Pretty bottle. It's looks like old or wood plaque, and it's got copper and red on it. Tom Sims. Age 4 years. No website listing. Only thing you'll see on Heaven Hill is if you look under product specifications, they'll show that they make an 80 proof 750 milliliter bottle. It might be also in bigger sizes. B Aviation. Hey Ron, haven't caught a live stream in a while. Well, thank you for watching. We're hoping dawn will arrive. It's still dark, but dawn is coming. All right, so that's Tom Sims. It was on sale. This Kentucky Straight Whiskey was on sale for $9.99. Nice price, right? $9.99. Now this here, Kings County Distillery Peated Bourbon whiskey, 45% alcohol. I'll post the solo review eventually and the duo review. There's a lot of glare here. Let's see. It's a cream colored. Yeah, there you go. It's like cream colored with black. So it's too much glare. It's in a medicine shaped bottle like you get with the MD 2020 wine, Mogen David 2020 wine, similar type bottle. Also from New York, not the same company. DSP, Distilled Spirits Plant, New York, number 15026. Age 2 years. Listed as bourbon, not straight bourbon for whatever reason. Does not say straight bourbon. And it's peated. They use peated barley from Scotland. Peated barley malt. Now, does that mean is that the reason it can't be straight bourbon? I don't know. I don't think it matters where the malt and the corn comes from. I just think it has to be distilled aged for at least 2 years and made from at least 51% corn, and the barrels have to be never before used charred oak barrels. That's why early times is listed as whiskey instead of bourbon, because they age it in used barrels. I mean, it really is a bourbon, but it just can't call it in a technical sense. It is not. And bourbon is a very technical product. There's a lot of technical rules for it, you see, that cannot be compromised. Well, they can be played around with, honestly, because I saw bourbon yesterday. I'll give you an example. I was looking at it carefully. Called 10 High. It said bourbon. Also, I said bourbon with natural flavors. Bourbon with natural flavors. So can bourbon have flavoring added? No. But can you have a bourbon with natural flavors? Yes. Makes sense, right? No. There's also 10 High bourbon, a blend. It's so convoluted, really. I saw there's forecasted highs in the low 40s in your area Friday. Yeah. Sounds disgusting. I'm saying we got like 14 days left where we have to worry about the pipes. Because usually in February, once you hit February, now there's exceptions. Like last year, we had a deep freeze in February. But those are exceptions to the rule. Generally in February, that's when it starts warming, you see. And you barely ever see freezing temperature. We haven't had a freeze yet this year in this town. I'm talking about here. All right, here. No freezing weather. Came close, 33. Got this thing a little too tight. You think that cat would be like freezing out there? Last night I kept listening. Say, is she gonna cry to come in? No. Then I went to get the paper at right before 5 a.m. Here she comes trotting along. I said, oh. But I noticed her little friend was around because he always drinks the water. She won't drink the faucet water. Probably got too much chlorine in it. She drinks the rainwater out of the people's bird bath next door. So I said, oh, well, your little friend was around, so you had company, so you were happy to be running or wherever they run to. And even though it was 38 degrees, 36 degrees, she didn't seem to be bothered by it. I guess all the fur, you know. Now, if it gets down to 31 or 30, yeah, that attitude might change. She's called Orangey. Her little friend is called Gray because he's gray and got stripes. Gray. I'm begging for the low 40s here. Haha, yeah. Jeep and Foodie says, good morning, Ron. Checking in. Good morning, you all. All right. Appearance. Well, I didn't need tags for these because this one is so copper. It is so dark. It's hard to believe it could be that dark after only 2 years, but it was probably a thick char, probably what they call alligator char, level number 4 charred, like thick. They burn the barrel, and then it sucked up that dark charcoal. This one's pretty dark actually. Some bourbons are much lighter than this, but it's much lighter than that. This one's amber and that one's copper. I've never seen Tom Sims anywhere in Louisiana. Ever. I've seen Tom Moore, not Tom Less, Tom Moore, straight bourbon whiskey. I had a chance to buy it for a real low price once, but I was too backstock. $12.99 for a handle. Yeah, great price. But, you know, you just can't get everything. But I can still get Tom Moore. I can get I can get so many. It's not even worth talking about. I mean, bourbon, it's ubiquitous. You know, it's common. It's so common. It's like every liquor store in Louisiana, which means generally every grocery store, sells more bourbon than you'd ever be able to conquer or check out. And they got the cheap ones for $8.99 all the way up to $189.99. Do you really get a price benefit when you buy up? I'm not convinced of that yet. Y'all got to have to convince me. I haven't been convinced. All right. Blanton's, $60 a bottle. I like it. Yeah, it's good. Sure, it's great. No age statement. Some people say 6 years. There's no way they can prove that. But do I find it's like extraordinarily better than, say, like Benchmark, McAfee's Benchmark, old number 8, or Ancient Age? Yeah, I guess it's better, but is it $50 a bottle better? I guess it ain't. I really don't think it is. You know, 10 times 6 is 60. So I could buy 6 bottles. I could buy 6 bottles of Ancient Age for every 1 bottle of Blanton's. And in my opinion, you're doing better with the other one. The $9.99. It's a trade-off, but I don't think it's that big of a trade-off. You would disagree. Some of y'all would say, "Oh no, you're wrong. You're crazy. You've tasted too many of these and you've gone insane and you run down and it's all over with for you and you're played out." I don't believe it. It's just what I think about it. Now, my friend David and I were talking about this liquor store. It is a liquor store, actually. They do have them in Louisiana, but they're not common. They're wine, beer, and liquor. And They've got some Canadian whiskey we could buy for $4.16 a bottle. $4.16 a bottle. We can get a whole case for $50. And I told him, I said, but yeah, but what are we gonna do with it? I mean, you know, we don't need it. He said, yeah, but we could give it to people like as a gift. I said, yeah, but would they want? You know how people are, you give it to them, they never drink it. Oh, thanks. And then you go to their house 5 years later, they never opened it because they didn't buy it. You see, when people don't pay for it, they don't appreciate it a lot of times. You say, no, that's not true. It is true. I used to give beer to people to try, like, try this, try that. But they wouldn't try it. On a few occasions, they took one sip and dumped it out. So I was like, you know, I'm going to make them buy it. Like, so when I would go on trips later and I would come back with singles, I would tell them, well, this is what it cost me. And then they would pay me, you know, like $8 for those 6 beers. But then they would try it. They wouldn't waste it. And I didn't need the money. I had the money. I just it's a psychological thing. If they buy it, then they're going to drink it. If you give it to them, they don't. I mean, not every time, but that is the general trend that I've noticed. So I'm not here to give beer. Go buy your own beer, you know? And I'm not saying that to be ugly, but if you're interested and you want to try a product, you'll try it. If you're not interested, you won't. And most of these people I'm talking about, they're happy with their beer, Bud Light. In other words, that's what they like to drink. They don't want to. I'm like, oh, try this Bourbon County. No, they don't want to try that. Same thing with whiskey. I know people love Jack Daniels. They drink or Crown Royal, you know. I'm like, you ever tried this thing? No. And don't want to. That smells pungent. It smells like charred oak. It smells like corn. You know, corn products, corn syrup, or whatever it is. What about peat? I'm not picking up any peated malt. Sorry. Maybe I'm picking that up here, but you know, it really just smells like corn, you know, corn, charred oak, same old thing. I'm not an anti-bourbon person. You know, people get that impression like you don't like bourbon. You got some axe to grind with it. I don't have any axe to grind with it. I don't have any kind of animosity towards it. I don't have like some kind of like hidden agenda against it. None of those things. On the other hand, I'm not rah-rah either with it. I'm not one of these people. I'm not a person that's like fixated on it and feel like I got to defend it. Oh, bourbon, yeah. I'm usually like, oh, bourbon, okay. Something's burning out there. Oh, the way the light from the street and the moon was hitting, it's just steam from their furnace. I thought something on fire. Well, something is on fire, technically gas, but you know what I'm saying. All right. I think that's the Tom Sims because I believe it's sweeter and kind of a brighter nose. So am us. And oh, you know what that Kings County Peated Bourbon costs? In the video, solo video, you'll see I said I think it's $38 a bottle. Ha, it's $65 a bottle. I was a little off. Am I smelling a $55 difference? I don't think so, but I got to taste it. Let's go taste challenge. Go, 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 gadget. Now, see, the first impression here is heavily charred oak. If one would like to drink charcoal and oak, and corn. Cornbread. You see, now I had some corn chips yesterday evening. Saturday night, I had popcorn at the basketball game, college basketball. I go to college basketball games at least once every year, more than that usually. I'm kind of tired of corn, and I mean, I don't know. It just tastes like corn, yellow corn grits, and I like corn grits. I'm not in. I know other people eat them every day, eggs and grits and bacon or sausage. I'll go. I couldn't take it, you know. But all right, let's go over here. Now, see, this is not so much charred oak. This is just like oak, whiskey saturated oak. Yes. Think about wood that's been saturated with whiskey, and that's what that tastes like. Sure, trying to pick up that peat right now. What's the difference between straight bourbon and just bourbon? And is Kentucky bourbon distilled and bottled in? Well, if it's Kentucky bourbon, B Aviation, it must be produced in Kentucky. It has to be distilled and bottled in Kentucky. That is correct. Difference between straight bourbon and bourbon. Well, they both have to be at least 51% corn. They both have to be aged in charred oak barrels, new charred oak barrels. It can't be a used barrel. Now, Scotch, it could be used 1,000 times and they could still use it. Canadian whiskey too, and American whiskey, just can't be bourbon. The difference is that straight bourbon has to be aged at least 2 years, whereas bourbon, it doesn't have to be aged any particular length of time. It just has to be aged in a new charred oak barrel. So could you age it for 6 months and call it bourbon? I see no regulation against it. If you look at the Tax and Trade Bureau website, it doesn't say anything about it. They're not supposed to have flavoring or coloring added. But apparently they're allowed to qualify it with a qualification statement, such as the new 10 high. The 10 high, 10 high bourbon says bourbon with natural flavors. So they can't just say bourbon. So they got to tell you bourbon with natural flavors. Now, what are those flavors? I don't know, man. Just like the one from Drake, the Virginia Black. It's called whiskey, but if you read the website, it's a blend of 2, 3, and 4-year-old bourbons. But why they don't call it bourbon? They call it whiskey because they probably got flavoring added. You can tell when you taste it, it's like, did they add some kind of like caramel candy flavor in that? And so a lot of this stuff, B Aviation, is just sheer technical regulations, which you got to have. You got to have a starting and ending point if you're going to have a regulation. I get that, but are they that different one from another in a practical sense? No, and in fact, if you look at what Canadian whiskey is and what bourbon is, they're more similar than different. You see, but there is a definitive line. La Rose 823 says the king has been watching you for 10. Oh, the king been watching you for 10 years now. Love you. God bless. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Appreciate that. Beer Hounds Beer Review says howdy, Ronald. Howdy to you. And after I'm finished with bourbon, you know what's coming. Didn't you say you found a whole case of cheap whiskey recently, but it was just too much to buy at once? Yeah, that's what I was talking about. A whole case, 12 bottles, full-size bottles of Canadian blended whiskey for $50, $4.17 a bottle. If you buy a single, it's $4.16. You save a penny buying a single. So you lose 12 cents buying the case, I guess, but it's the way it rounds off. But I could buy a whole case of Canadian whiskey for $50. There's only one little problem. I'd be stuck with a whole case of Canadian whiskey. My friend David was saying we could split it. Now we only talking $25 a person plus tax, which would be like $27.50, which is what you normally pay for a normal size bottle of whiskey. I said, yeah, but what? There's still the question of why would I want it? What am I going to do with it? Most people I know are very unadventurous. They might drink whiskey, but they ain't going to try something new. You know, like I give it to them, they won't drink it. It'll sit there for 10 years and never touch it. And I'm not going to do it. So I'm not going to buy it. Boy, I could do a lot of taste challenges with that James Fox, couldn't I? Good morning to you, Tommy. I just bought a bottle of James Fox at Savannah Discount for $4.99. I thought that was the greatest deal in the world until I ran across $4.17. James Fox is not bad. I don't think it tastes like it used to when Seagram's brought it out in 1975, though. If you taste it, it tastes like Sazerac put their own touch to it, for good or ill. Some people think it's good, and some people hate that Sazerac taste. But once they bought the rights to James Fox in 1989, it was up to them to do whatever they wanted to with it. And I think they changed it to make it taste like their stuff. Because when I tried that Seagram's Hunter Rye, Seagram's Canadian Hunter didn't taste anything like Seagram's. Like, I can't get it straight. When I bought Seagram's Canadian Hunter and I tried it, tasted nothing like the current Canadian Hunter that Sazerac makes. So I just think they changed it. But whatever the case, I don't need. But if you want to buy a case of Canadian whiskey for $4.16 a bottle, $50 total, 12 bottles, go to Elio's Wine Warehouse on right off of United States Highway 90. What's that street? Robert Street. I mean, it's right. I mean, you could see it from the highway. I mean, you just see the store. And there's a house next to the store. And on the other side of the parking lot from the store is a Mexican restaurant. So it's a Mexican restaurant, a tiny parking lot, the liquor store, and a house. Someone lives there in that compacted area. Okay. I think I've got it. I'm getting perhaps a peat note. A lot of wood, though. Now, this just tastes like charred oak and corn. Now, I know this much, though. I'll tell you this much. This much I know. There is no way I would pay $65 for the Kings County Peated Bourbon when I could pay, well, a normal price, but I got it on sale. I told you for $9.99. The normal price was $12. When I could pay $12 for the Tom Sims 4-year age, it's aged 2 years longer. You say, but it's a cheap brand that Heaven Hill makes, just to throw out there. I know that. One thing about it, Heaven Hill's cheap bourbons are good. See, if they were bad, I'd tell you they were bad. So can you buy a lot of cheap bourbon that's good? Yeah, you sure can. A lot of it. 2-star from, well, I say at Total Wine, but it could be sold other places, but I always see 2-star Total Wine. Very old Barton, I can get that in Mississippi. Ancient age, can get it here. Ancient age, 10 star, 6-year age. Well, 3-year age at least. There is a 6-year age. 3-year age over there in Mississippi, 90 proof. Got that for what? $16. Old Charter, got that for $9 on a 50% discount at Walmart. No, I got it for $8. $8. So yeah. Here's the deal. Let's make a deal. I got a great deal for y'all. I'm gonna let you pay the exorbitant prices for bourbon, like the $60, $70, and I'll pay the $9 and $10. And then you could tell me what you think about your bourbon that you bought, and I'll tell you what I think about the bourbon I bought. Now that's a bargain for you, because you get to talk about expensive bourbon, and then I get to talk about the one I only paid $10 for. Have I lost anything? No, you have. You paid a lot more money. Ha 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 ha. How you feel, play? No, I'm just kidding. If you want to buy. Now, what if you told me, all right, smart mouth, all right, jokester, here's a hypothetical question for you. How would you feel if you couldn't drink bourbon for the rest of your life and you had to drink scotch? My only question to you would be, can I count on that? Can I count on that? I know I'm disloyal. I'm a bad American. I'm loyal to the Kingdom of Scotland over America. That's wrong. Although, I mean, we could say that personal preference is paramount in tasting whiskey, beer, and wine. But anyway, I think this is the time, Sims, but I'm not entirely confident. What does that tell you? $12 versus $65. Nah. But it is the Tom Sims. So I was confident. I said I wasn't entirely confident. I was confident, not entirely confident. I thought I was competent. All right, let's look at the comments, and then we finish. So, well, I'm sorry for Kings County, but that's 0-3. They lost the first time, they lost the second time, they lost the third time. Not a good sign. Not a good sign. Do I appreciate the Christmas gift from my friend David? Of course I appreciate it. Do you like it enough to have half a case, though? That's the question. Yes, I do like it enough to have an entire case. There's the answer. I like James Fox Canadian blended whiskey enough to have an entire case. But there's two problems with it. Then I would be stuck with an entire case, 12 bottles. And secondly, how long would it take to drink that? 50 years? So I don't want to be 103 years old drinking it. I mean, I guess it wouldn't bother me, but nah. It's like I could buy, like if somebody had ramen, look, you could buy 100 packages of ramen noodles for $8. It's a big deal. I would say, but I don't need 100 packs of ramen noodles. It would take me years to eat that. I don't really eat that. You know, Ronald Jokester Terrio. Yep, that's me, Ronald the Jokester. But guess what? The joke's on you. Blue Oyster Cult said that. The joke's on you. And the joke's on you. I don't know how, but it's the nexus of the crisis. Would I give the Kings County an A? I sure would. It's solid A. I really like it, especially since I didn't have to pay for it. B Aviation says I'll buy 16 and 24 packs of ramen. So sue me. I know Mathern sells craft ramen, like craft style ramen noodles. That's like $4 a pack. Is it way better than the cheap ones? The Marushan and the the other. But I don't know if it's better or worse. I never tried. I know I went to International Market Saturday before last, and they had this ramen brand I never heard of. I said, what is this? But they carry stuff from all around the world that nobody ever heard of, you know. So I was tempted to buy it, but I forgot to buy it. Well, I'm going to get it, though. I'm going to try to get it. That's a pledge to you. I swear to you that I will probably buy it before the end of the year. And you can trust me on that, more or less. Yes, Kings County Peated Bourbon, the bourbon where you can't actually taste the peat unless you sip on it for 2 hours. It is an A. But the only problem is that the Tom Sims is not much further behind it. Maybe an A minus, but hey. It's like I bought the Nissan Versa. I got the regular base model, the S, you know, standard. S stands for standard. For $18,050. That was the final price, $18,050. Of course, you had to pay tax. Now I could have gotten they have the SR and the SV. I don't know which one is higher. I could have got the SR. I think that's the highest one for like $24,000. And it has a lot more stuff, like the beautiful rims. I gotta admit, those are pretty. The ground effects, those are nice. The fog lamps, yep. The LED lights, front and back, and a lot more things. A lot of electronic things on in the interactive dash that I would never use. Notice I said I would never use. But that doesn't really matter because they didn't have any available. When I went to Bayou Nissan in New Orleans in September 2021, they actually did not have any of those. They had 2 models on the lot, like literally 2 models, a black one and a white one. And they were the S. And you know how cars are these days during the scamdemic. You might want to get a fancy model, but they might say, well, we could order one. You might be waiting 6 months. I was like, man, okay, no one cares what kind of car I have, and I don't even care as long as it's reliable, you know, and it doesn't look terrible, and it gets great gas mileage, which this one's been running 35 miles per gallon in town. You heard what I said, 35 miles per gallon in the city. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I like the black one, but you know, it's hard to keep a black car clean. They get dirty so fast. And I couldn't understand why the black one was like $350 cheaper. I was like, why is the black one cheaper? And then I looked, I said, it doesn't have an armrest. I tell the salesman, it doesn't have an armrest. He's like, oh, they don't come with an armrest. And I said, well, the white one's got one. And he said, oh. But what I did some research. The funny thing about it, the armrest, you know, it has a storage area underneath, is a $350 accessory. It's considered an accessory. $350. But I got the one and I paid $350 more. I'm not riding around in a car with no armrest. But still, that's cheap. You know, this day and age, the modern day that we live in this dystopian, totalitarian world, to get a brand new car, it wasn't a used car, it wasn't a program vehicle, it wasn't like low mileage, brand new. It had 2 miles on it that took them to drive it off onto the truck and off the other truck for $18,050. And people were saying it is pretty roomy for a small car, sits 5 people, and the trunk is big. I said, yeah, there's no downside. The truck was nice. Now I got to say this, and I'm gonna get off the air. The Ram truck, the Ram 1500 work truck. Is it worth buying? Oh, yes. Now that truck was a jewel. It had a lot of things on it. I didn't get the base model on that one. I got the one with the power equipment group. They call it the power equipment group, and the sport wheels, the rims, and the some other thing. Oh, the chrome package. They call it the chrome package. And I bought that for $19,500, and it was the window sticker was $31,500. That's the best. That's the best discount in the history of vehicles, huh? It was listed at $31,500. I got the window sticker. I could prove it. Well, I had the window sticker until I threw it all out when I got the Nissan, and I got it for $19,500. I said, "Boy, that's some kind of discount, huh?" You wouldn't see that today, since I bought that in November 2018, November 10th. That was a good truck. Good truck. Oh, the seats were so comfortable, you'd be falling asleep in those seats. And the ride was so smooth, and that truck was so big. And every time I went to the store, it was like trying to park a wide load vehicle. I was like, why do I have this vehicle? I don't haul anything. I don't need this. So I traded it for a small car. But it was wonderful. You know, the Ram was wonderful. Okay. The one I buy is like $1.50 each, but it's probably twice the size of Marishan. It's Korean. It's called Neoguri Spiced Seafood. That sounds good. Okay. Hey, Ron, I'm planning a vacation. Should I come to New Orleans area or Houston area in March? I can't tell you which one to go to. Go to Houston if you want to go to Houston, or go to New Orleans if you want to go to New Orleans. Sorry if this is off topic, but you're my source in the Gulf Coast area. Well, they're both good to go see. Houston is nice, you know, if you like sports. I'm not too sure about the cultural aspects. I mean, Houston has a lot of strip malls and subdivisions. But if you, for some reason, you got this great desire to go ride around in different subdivisions built since 1973 and go to different strip malls, well, you might love it. Now, New Orleans has more of a cultural. They say, what about crime? Oh, they both have a lot of crime. So shootings, carjackings, robbery, irresponsible government that seems to not care about crime and blames the victim. Oh, yeah. New Orleans and Houston has that, definitely. So, yeah, they're both on Interstate 10. They both hug the Gulf Coast, both close to the Gulf of Mexico. Yeah. Yeah. Take your pick. Why don't you flip a coin? Heads can be Houston, tails can be New Orleans. That should work out. All right. Thanks for watching this video production. Well, we got to go with the winner. Sorry, but Tom Sims is the clear and present winner. And it's hard to believe I'm saying that, but that's the way I'm feeling about it. It's the way I see it. So thanks for watching this video production. We'll do another one for Wednesday.